Hey guys, Lent begins in just a few days, and if you're like me, you've been thinking about what you're gonna do for a few weeks now, and I hope that you find these videos very helpful for your whole family. That's really my goal. I really feel like there's a lot of unnecessary suffering and just weird decisions and situations that are just absurd nowadays, and not that your suffering is worth nothing. I do believe suffering is powerful, but I believe too that we should be we are a temple of the Holy Spirit, and we need to show our body respect. So welcome to the first day, first week. I'm excited to share with you this information today. So go ahead and get your pencil and your paper ready to jot some notes down. Okay, so straighten you out here. Okay, so this first week is removing the offenders. Any guesses of what the offenders are? Well, we're not going to get into big things like pop. We're not going to get into specific foods. I want to get into broader subject type foods. So we are going to start with gluten and casein. Gluten, of course, is in any wheat product. And our wheat nowadays is much different than the wheat a long time ago. Come here. No, honey, you tried to sneak an apple. You can eat the chicken on the table.
No.
If you really want to have gluten and you have a really solid gut, before we went on GAPS, we were using a wheat called einkorn wheat. Excuse my computer, I got my notes here. EINKORN. And it is the wheat that's never been changed, never been genetically modified or hybridized. It's usually grown organic in Italy. So if you're gonna do wheat and you have a solid gut health, I would do that wheat, einkorn wheat. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Now, in a leaky gut, which is probably most of America, because the foods that we eat are very disruptive to the whole microbiome, all the little bacteria in your guts. And they're very destructive to the gut wall and the mucosal lining, and just generally not good for your health. Well, when you eat gluten from the wheat and casein from processed milk products, they become partially digested, and they become glutamorphine and caseinomorphine. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but basically they become morphine-like substances. So that is why I've read so many autistic stories of healing, and when they take gluten and casein out of that child's diet, they're withdrawing, they're throwing tantrums, they can't handle stress. The poor little guys are withdrawing from a morphine-like substance. So I would encourage you to take a baby step towards one of those. Of course, now there's two other things I'm going to get into, and that is sugar. Sugar is also addictive, which most people understand that, but I don't think we understand how it fully works when it comes to sugar. So remember I talked about we have this plethora of bacteria and yeast and all these wonderful things in our body. They actually help break down a lot of our food and make nutrients available to us. Well, yeast is one of those things that's actually we need to survive. And it's even protective. If you've been exposed to mercury, the yeast will wrap around the mercury and protect your body. But now you have yeast symptoms, and your body chooses to have yeast symptoms instead of mercury poisoning. Anyways, so let's just pretend you've never been affected by mercury, nothing like that. You have all these little yeast everywhere and with the good bacteria. And one day you take an antibiotic, wipes out classes and classes of bacteria. Well, now we have these opportunistic bacteria and yeast, and they actually, instead of being this size, they grow to this size. And then the longer that it's like that, they start getting tentacles and growing way out of control. They just took over. Those yeast like sugar. They just like sugar. And when they eat that sugar, they produce alcohol, ethanol alcohol. So when you know sugar is addictive, it's because the yeast are telling your brain, there's a very strong gut-brain connection. They're saying, give me sugar. And your brain's like craving the sugar, craving it, because they're telling your brain they need this sugar. And when they eat that sugar, they produce the alcohol and you get this relief. And we joke, we have a little friend that when she eats a lot of sugar, she's sugar drunk. And she really is. Like, the yeast are producing alcohol and her body's drunk from the alcohol. Okay, so let's pretend now you actually remove sugar, and I would encourage you to do this very slowly. I don't want anybody to pass out or have terrible blood sugar issues. Some people actually make a mixture of butter and honey, and they mash it together with a fork, and then whenever they feel like their blood sugar is starting to drop, they start sipping on that or licking on it, whatever, because that will stabilize the immediate blood sugar with the honey, and long term the fat will help heal their gut lining. So something to be aware of is when these little yeast guys die, because you're feeding your body healthy things and it can rebalance itself, the yeast actually emits 176 different toxins. So I think that's why a lot of people, don't even want to try to stop doing these things, because they feel so horrible. And this is also why when children become picky eaters, they go to eat something that's healthy and it tastes disgusting to them, because these bacteria are actually... What? You do. These bacteria are actually emitting massive amounts of toxins. And even yeast, I'll go two of them. One of the toxins is the same toxin that happens after when you're having a hangover. And I think it's called acetaldehyde, but I don't remember. And then another one is acetone. So imagine when these things are dying, the feeling in your child's mouth is like acetone, nail polish remover. So of course they're not going to want to do that. That's horrible. And it's hard. It's hard on your body. So you do have to go slow and pace yourself, because your body has to remove a lot when that happens. And oftentimes, if you're in that position, your detoxing systems have been kind of hijacked. So it's very important to be patient with yourself and support your body when you go through those things. And usually that's sleep and detox baths and water, sitting in the sun, stuff like that. Okay, enough on sugar. I think most people get the picture with sugar. Lastly is caffeine. Now, I had the hardest time with caffeine. I loved coffee. And I only stopped because I was pregnant, and I usually don't like coffee when I'm pregnant. And I got really, really sick. And I couldn't eat anything besides ground beef and meat stock. My body threw itself into the introduction diet. Thankfully, I knew about it, because otherwise I would have thought I couldn't eat anything, and it was a mess. So, it has been over almost a year and a half since I've had coffee, and I actually tried to taste some, and it tasted disgusting to me, which was crazy because I used to love it. Now, of course, I didn't have all the flavored things in it, but caffeine is really especially bad for people with hormonal issues, energy issues, which is funny because usually when you want to drink caffeine is when you have energy issues. So instead of drinking caffeine, well, it depends how much you're on. You definitely don't want to cut this off like cold turkey. I don't want anybody to do that. They will be miserable, and that would be horrible. Remember, this video is about taking baby steps. So I wanted to give you 4 things. Maybe pick one of them to take a baby step with. But yeah, caffeine, I heard once, is like revving an empty engine. And if you were like me, who had adrenal and thyroid, which means energy issues, then you know when you drink coffee, it crashes you and you don't get anything done anyway. And it puts you in a brain fog and you're just sitting there trying to drink more coffee because you're like, this should help. But it doesn't. So I would encourage you to reduce your intake of caffeine. And of course, I'm referencing coffee. We do not have pop in our house. Some of our kids have never had pop. I'm going to say this very boldly, and you can disagree with me, but I believe pop is straight poison. No joke. Just because you can drink it and not die right away doesn't mean it's not poison. And it would be a sin for me to drink it. It is just so bad for you. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad, but it's something to be aware of. Like, what the devil does is makes us think sinful things are not that bad. And so it's very hard to break these habits, any kind of sin. And so that's why I say just do it very slowly, so you can make it doable and not terrible on your body, because these foods are just addictive. So I would encourage you to write in the comments below what you're going to try to do this week, or if you have any extra information. Sometimes I get so excited and I start thinking about what I want to share, and there's things I missed here and there. So I would love to hear anybody else's experiences and information that they want to share, or any questions. I'm by no means an expert, but I think, I do try to seek the truth, and I think I would love this YouTube channel to be based on looking for true answers. So anyways, best of luck this first week of Lent, and I hope you can find the courage to really help yourself in one of these habits, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.